Getting you ready for another stellar night of Trailblazers action as the Blazers are in snowy and cold Boston to take on the Boston Celtics tonight. A quick little road trip. They still got to go take on the Wizards, the Knicks, got the Cavs when they come back home. Couple games here. It's going to be rough. We'll see how it goes. Maybe, though, the Blazers were in on this. Maybe this was all a fix, and we're just now realizing it because the Blazers left the Pacific Northwest to go to New England the same time that we've decided that the Pacific Northwest will face New England in the Super Bowl. Conspiracy? Who knows? The Blazers are the more north when they played the teams from the north just a few nights ago. That was the Toronto Raptors, who also reside in that part of the world where the Blazers are right now. And it was a rough night for your Portland Trail Blazers when the Raptors grabbed a 110-98 victory and in a win streak for your Trail Blazers and sending them back to their homes. Not whimpering, though, because it wasn't as if it was just an awful game or anything. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you just meet a team that's ready to go. They play well, and you lose the ball game. Of course, the Blazers played well for 3 of those 4 quarters. That first quarter was ways to do that. Out of the way first, if you would like to join the conversation tonight, you got a couple ways to do that. 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Riff City Radio, and join the chat there. And, you can hit us up on the new fancy Rip City Radio text line. Just text 88528 and get your comments read there. Overall, that game a few nights ago, like I said, a little rough, but nothing you can't overcome in the long run. Toronto came in. They're a very good team, 28-19, one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. And I thought for 3 of those 4 quarters, Portland played them very, very well. That first quarter was just too much to really overcome, where the Blazers absolutely struggled. There is no other way to put it. They were outscored by the Raptors, who also kind of struggled in that first quarter, 19-12 at the end of the first quarter. 12 points did not set the record for the fewest points in a first quarter for the Trailblazers. That would be 7. And the fewest points ever in a quarter for your Trailblazers was 5. I believe that was 2006 against the then New Jersey Nets in a game that they lost. I think the final score was 75-65. Not a very good day for your Trailblazers. And for a minute there, it looked like they might set that record, but a couple late shots got them where they were going. And a couple late shots was pretty much all the shots they made in that quarter. Portland was 4 of 26 to end the first quarter, or 15.4%. They were 1 for 11 from beyond the arc at that same time. And this was despite the fact that they had 7 offensive rebounds in that first quarter alone. Just could not capitalize and get those second chance points. But they found the offense in the second quarter, and they found it in the third quarter. Fourth quarter, it struggled a little bit as Toronto tried to pull away. But it was really, again, end of the day, that first quarter that did them in. Points in the paint went in favor of Toronto, 64-46. Second chance points, 19-15 in favor of the Toronto Raptors. It should have absolutely been more for Portland with the offensive rebounds they were getting. They just could not capitalize on them. Fast break points, 16-7 in favor of Toronto. Bench points, 24-23 in favor of Portland. Turnovers, Portland had just 15, while Toronto had 16. Each team had 16 points off of those turnovers. Biggest lead of the night for Toronto was 13. Biggest lead of the night for the Blazers was 2. Again, hard to get out to a lead when 19 of 12 is how you start the game. And if you were listening to the fifth quarter, Michael Shacker's shot of the night was literally the first shot that went in after miss after miss after miss. It was pretty brutal. It was like finally someone gets the shot to fall. And I got to hat tip Sean Hyken, because he said, I'm pretty sure the first team to score is going to win this game at this rate. Well, first team to score, it was the Toronto Raptors. Looking at the individual box scores, Brandon Ingram had 20 points, 15 points from Scotty Barnes, who also had 9 rebounds, 22 points from Sandro Mamu Kelashvili. He also had 6 rebounds and 4 assists, 20 points from Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, and Ochi Agbaji each had 10. On the Trailblazers side of things, Tumani Kamara, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He was 5 of 12 from the floor. 3 points from City Sissoko, who was starting in this one as Denny Avdia was a late scratch. Donovan Clingan, 13 points, 16 rebounds, which I will tip my cap here because I said in the pregame show, this would be a really good game for Donovan Clingan to go have 12 points and 15 boards. Well, I'll take 13 points and 15 boards when, I'm sitting here talking about what he gets. I'll 5 point. Yeah, I'll take that. Also, Shaden Sharp, 21 points from Drew Holiday. Caleb Love had 11 points off the bench. And Jeremy Grant had 8. There we go. It's like, oh, I get my fingers crossed? My wires crossed? No. But no, that's what you're looking at. That was the box score, and the Blazers just struggled. The thing is, too, you look at it, it is wild when you break this game down because we already went through the stats, the fast break points, all that. But it was just that first quarter where they could not make a basket because Portland took 98 shots in this game. Toronto only took 85. Toronto took 13 fewer shots but made 6 more. Portland made more three-pointers than Toronto in this one, 13-9. But if you cannot hit your shots with any consistency in a game like this, it's going to absolutely doom you. And it did as the Blazers fall 110-98. And, like I said, it is what it is because that Toronto team is a very good team. They balance well. They have multiple ways to attack you. It was no different in this one. Again, as you look at the starting lineup, all starters in double figures, 3 guys on the bench with 10. Excuse me, 2 guys on the bench with 10. And it was just balance. 3 guys with 20 or more. Again, Mamu Kalashvili, he was hitting the outside shots he needed to hit. He was getting it done inside. He was probably the difference in that game. He was incredible. Blazers really couldn't get an answer for him. And then when you don't have Denny Avdia in there, you do have Drew Holiday. You do have Jeremy Grant, but they're still kind of dealing with their minutes restrictions, getting back into the flow of things. And Drew Holiday looked really good. He looked really good. Unfortunately, Coach Thiago Splitter had to pull him out at times when he was playing well because of that minutes restriction. And that is something he said after the game. Like, I wish I could have kept him in, but the minutes restriction is there. We got to adhere to that. And then he ended up playing just 22 minutes. I think Coach would like to play him 35 and get him up in the 30s like the rest of the starters. Because in that 25 minutes of action, or 22 minutes of action for Drew Holiday, he was 9 of 14 from the floor. He had 7 assists to lead the team. That was a third of the entire assist by the team. 21 points. He was very, very good. And hopefully he'll be very, very good tonight as he makes a return to his former team. He gets to play in front of the Boston crowd for the first time since that trade over the offseason. And interestingly enough, Robert Williams has been here for 3 seasons now, which doesn't feel like it. But Robert Williams was part of the trade, the 3-team trade that sent Drew Holiday to Boston, Damian Lillard to Milwaukee, all the moving parts. And Robert Williams has been injured every single time that the Blazers have played in Boston since then. So this is also Robert Williams' first game back in Boston. So you got 2 Blazer players looking to get their first game back at their own team. That's going to be nice. And speaking of Robert Williams, he didn't play in that game against Toronto. Why? Because it was the second night of a back-to-back as the Blazers are just riddled here with back-to-back. Someone pointed this out, and I was like, that is absolutely crazy when you really think about it. But little weird scheduling quirk here. This is the 3rd back-to-back in a row for your Trailblazers. Think about that for a second. Go back over the last 6 games, including tonight. They played Los Angeles last Saturday, then Sacramento on Sunday. Then they played Miami on Thursday, Toronto on Friday, and they're playing Boston today, Washington tomorrow. That is 3 straight back-to-backs for your Trailblazers, meaning Robert Williams is only playing 3 of these 6 games because he is not playing the second nights of the back-to-back. That's why you didn't see him in Sacramento. That's why you didn't see him in Toronto. That's why you will likely not see him tomorrow in Washington. So you didn't have Robert Williams. You didn't have Denny Avdia. That does hurt, especially when you're trying to get everybody back But it does sound like you'll have Denny and Rob tonight. Latest update was from yesterday. We'll continue to monitor that situation as it comes out. Coach will be talking to the media down in Boston in a few minutes and give us the update on Denny Avdia. But he was listed as questionable with the PR's press release yesterday. Scoot Henderson, Dame, Murray, Dwop, Matisse, Blake Wesley, all out in this one. Denny and Robert Williams listed as questionable. This is Blazers Game Day. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You can hit us up on the onlines. Just go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there. And you can hit us up on the brand new Rip City Radio text line as well. We got a multitude of ways to get in on the conversation. So grab your phone, text 88528 to join the conversation there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to head to the coach's corner, hear from head coach Thiago Splitter following that game against Toronto. We're also going to take a chance to listen to Drew Holiday as well and continue to get you ready for Blazers versus Celtics here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, getting you ready for Blazers versus Celtics tonight in a snowy Boston. And hopefully the Blazers don't let that cold translate to their shooting and they bring some hot shooting to warm up a little bit because that game in Toronto, it was not very good at all. Speaking of which, it is time for the Coach's Corner. So let's head back in time to the press conference, hear what Coach Tiago Splitter had to say following that loss to Toronto.
Of course, think about it, but honestly, flush it and look forward.
What do you think factored into the poor start on offense? Was it just like shot making or an energy thing, do you think?
Honestly, I will have to check, but they were in the gaps, like helping a lot, so we couldn't get to the rim easily. Just kind of like letting us shoot, and we were not making the shots on it. That's what I have in my mind right now. The film that we watched in the halftime, that was a little bit the formula they have. They shrink a lot and let us shoot from outside. And of course, we didn't have a good night shooting the ball. So you go 13 for 45, not a great shooting night, and that's it's hard to win.
How would you describe the first quarter?
Helpless sometimes, but there's nights that we are a little bit off like that. You just gotta keep pounding and trust. There were nights that we started like that and we changed it around. It was not the case tonight, but like I said, we gotta flush that one and get together, watch film. What can we do better? Maybe the shot selection, we'll see. But I think for the most part, we shot 45 threes. For the most part, those were good shots. Some shots at the rim were not good, where we shot heavily contested shots because they were there. And, we only get to the free throw line 10 times. So, it's kind of like that was the game there.
Do you think there were maybe some more threes out there for you guys that were passed up?
Probably, because they shrink a lot. That's what they do. They kind of like help. They come blitz from behind. So we probably could shoot 60, if I'm honest. But this is what they bet on, and this is the way they play. They want to create those. If you don't shoot it, they create turnovers because they're really there, and then they run. So that's their style, and that's what they do.
How important was Drew keeping you guys in the game? And is it kind of frustrating that you have to take him out with the minutes restriction when he's playing that well?
It was great, and yes.
Seems like he's playing, Grant played a little more, right? They're slowly starting to boost those guys up, maybe?
Yeah, it was a little bit, there's a science behind it. I hate to say, but there is, where, Drew was out for longer when he was injured. So, and Jeremy still has a little bit more of, let's say, shape, but also is a different player. Drew has the ball a lot, has run more miles, so there's a little difference there too.
And there you hear from head coach Tiago Splitter. Nope, just flush it, get rid of it, move on. The game plan, they had it in place. They knew that they were going to, crash in and play good defense at the rim, which they did. When you don't have Denny Avdia to get those foul shots, that does hurt you. Remember, Denny leads the league in getting the free throw line and the 2-point and ones. And the Blazers only got to the free throw line 10 times in that game. They converted 7 of those free throws. Not a great day there. So they did rely on that 3-point shot, 45 3-pointers in 98 shots total. Only hit 13 of them, though, 28%. And like Coach said, probably could have took 60 of them. And he's not wrong. That was what the defense was giving them. They just absolutely couldn't hit them at all. So now the Blazers move on, and they get to go to Boston to take on the Celtics. A quick little road trip here sees them going to Boston. Then they'll head down to Washington tomorrow and then back up and play the Knicks on Friday. It's like I said, these weird back-to-backs. They give them these back-to-backs, and then you got 3 days off before, 2 days off. The game's on the third day in New York, which, of course, that'll be nice if maybe the weather clears up a little bit for our guys on the road. Like our boy Travis, who's from New York, maybe get a chance to relax. And you always sit there. And one thing I did when I traveled all the time is you start to look at what time and what cities he had days off in. I think I had like a half day off in New York because we arrived in New York. The one time I went to New York proper, like I went to Brooklyn, stayed in Brooklyn, then we went to New York. That was on New Year's Eve of all times. New Year's Eve 2019. Little did I know what 2020 was going to bring. We're staying right by Times Square. Didn't go party with all the Times Square people, but I was in New York. Washington is another one because my boss always got mad because every single time he went to Washington, they never had an off day. And then the one trip he couldn't make, I filled in for him. They ended up having an off day. It's kind of funny. But they will before they, get this road trip going. All starts tonight in Boston, where Drew Holiday gets to take on his former team. Let's hear from Drew, who's been playing pretty well now that he's been back, slowly getting back into it. One thing that you've seen when he's on the court right now, though, is control. He absolutely controls the game. And not necessarily like you think like, oh, yeah, Steph took control of the game because, he was scoring everywhere. It's that Drew opens up the game and controls the game just because he's so smart with the basketball. Slows everything down for the Blazers on offense, is smart with his shots, great defensively. He's a coach on the floor, and it allows everyone to calm down a little bit. That's how he controls it, and it's great to see. But let's hear from him following that game as well.
I think we just didn't have it at the end. For most of the game, kind of felt like we were climbing an uphill battle, but we got it within 5 a couple times and even got up. So I just think toward the end, usually when we're better at making plays and getting the lead, we didn't have to.
What do you think was behind the shooting struggles early in that first quarter? Just tired legs or what?
Could be anything. But there's no excuse to it. I think we all took good shots. I think we all played the way that we usually do, but transition could have been different. They're a really fast team, especially getting off the rebound in transition. But our shots, I think we took all good shots.
Was it a little bit of an adjustment playing the two fastest paced teams? Or take a little bit more of this team as fast, so is this team?
Nah, I think for the most part, I tried to play just as fast. Try to get it out and see if we can get some easy baskets, but we know kind of where the league's going. Obviously playing super fast and making the shot, getting it out, and how the pace goes. I think sometimes or I guess even this game, we just had to do better getting stops. If we got stops, and I think it's a different game.
You personally were in a nice little groove there in the fourth. Is that as good as you felt since you've been back?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I also struggled there in the first and second quarter, just trying to find a rhythm. And again, they play fast, but again, trying to push the pace, get into the paint, and make plays for others. But I think I knocked down a couple shots. So,
Drew, today you got a couple lobs to Donovan. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with DC and how that's blossomed over the season?
Yeah, I got to throw more lobs to him. I think I threw a couple down low, bounce passes where, he's 7 feet, throw it at the rim, he'll go get it. But he makes it easy. He gets behind the defense, and you just got to throw it toward the rim.
What do you think is your mindset going into this road trip here on the East Coast?
Same thing, win games. No matter if it's our third back-to-back in a row, no matter what the weather that's supposed to be coming, we got a job to do.
Usually maybe one guy will be cold or two guys will be cold, but not all 5 guys in the first quarter like that. What's that feeling like when everybody's kind of off?
I think it's more so just being as positive as possible. And being in the league as long as I have, you've seen it. You've seen a lot of guys just not hitting shots that day. So I think for us, the way that we play, we'll always give ourselves a chance, and we know that this game we're going to get enough shots to where we get back in the game. So I still think at some point we had a chance.
For you personally, going back to Boston, any feelings heading into that game?
Would like to win.
Well, that's right, Drew. We would like you to win too, but unfortunately, might just be a little bit easier said than done because while we were listening to Drew Holiday there, we did get an update from the Trailblazers letting us all know that Deni Avdija is out tonight. Deni Avdija will not play. Robert Williams is available. Maybe this was a little bit of a balancing act. Let's just be honest. If he is going in questionable, the odds are he probably wouldn't play the 2 back-to-backs. So my guess is educated guess here, not sourced, but my guess is Robert plays tonight, doesn't play tomorrow. Denny doesn't play tonight, plays tomorrow, which hopefully he does because it's his return to Washington. And I think we'd all love Denny Avdia to just go ham. Go ham. Anytime you play the Wizards, let them know what they left when they said, yeah, we'll trade you for a bag of chips. And then your GM comes out this week. It's like, oh, yeah, we don't regret it. He didn't fit the timeline, which is the dumbest, most overblown thing ever. But also, when you traded him, he was 23 flipping years old. He fits any timeline you want. Oh, he didn't fit the timeline of the young guys. Hate to break it to you, at 23, he was one of the young guys. What do I know? Math is math, unless it's Scott Steiner's math, which is a different kind of math, but only wrestling fans will understand. All right, we're going to take a quick break here on Blazers Game Day. When we come back, I do want to dive into a player that has been absolutely phenomenal for your Trailblazers this year, and a former coworker of mine, now working at The Athletic. You guys know him by Jason Quick. Wrote a wonderful article on him on The Athletic. And boy, howdy, I want to talk about Caleb Love because he has been incredible. A couple things that have kind of stood out to me this year, and I think it's cool because I think that article kind of reaffirmed them just a little bit. We'll talk about that and continue to get you ready for Blazers versus Celtics here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you, getting you ready for Blazers versus Celtics here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. And if you are just tuning in, we did get word just a few minutes ago that Denny Avdia has been downgraded to out tonight against the Celtics. He will not play. Robert Williams will play. And my best guess, my gut feeling here, not source material, so don't go quoting what Burkhardt said. But Denny probably wouldn't have played both games of the back-to-back. That's how they've kind of adjusted with these injuries, and especially with that tightening up. And it just makes more sense to sit Rob for one, sit Denny for the other. I know they don't play the same position. That's fine. But you also need to understand that how this all works. Like it's easier to have one guy out versus two if you can help it. If you can help it. Doesn't mean it's a guarantee that Denny plays tomorrow, but it is pretty much a guarantee that Robert Williams will not. He does not play those games. And according to our Sean Hyken, who also just tweeted, he said, Tiago Splitter says they're giving Denny Avdia an extra day off today to be careful, but the plan is for him to play tomorrow at Washington. So there you go. That's exactly what I was laying out, and it makes perfect sense that way because I doubted he was going to play both of the back-to-back. So Denny should be a go tomorrow. Let's keep those fingers crossed because Coach also said that he didn't think he would miss a game, and he ended up missing one. So missed that game again in Toronto. Thought he'd play. He didn't. That's okay. That's okay. Come on, Denny, just get healthy because you have been absolutely incredible. You know who else has been incredible? Caleb Love. Caleb Love has been one of the best Blazers this year. Now, I don't mean that he has been the guy that you put on everything on his back and he leads you to the promised land or any of that. It's just story-wise and entertainment-wise, Caleb Love has been amazing. Simply amazing. To go undrafted and then to come in, he's now played 38 games. He started one, averaging 11.3 points. He's been a go-to scorer off the bench. He's proven that he can hit the three-pointer when you need him to. All of those things make Caleb Love incredible. Absolutely incredible. And when you consider, again, that he was undrafted, no one really expected him to be here doing what he's doing, you got to love it. You just, yes, Portland got onto something. Now, Jason Quick of The Athletic, former coworker of mine there at NBC, wrote a great article about him, and you should go over there to read it. Obviously, just go to The Athletic, and you'll find it, or if you're on social media, find Jason, and you'll find a link there. But it's interesting because he mentioned how, Dame is talking about it, you went undrafted and you're playing like a top 10 pick and how much that meant for him to hear. And, gave him confidence because he still idolizes Dame. And so they go into the idea of how much Dame has influenced him and how he grew up watching him, which I love because I've said this a few times sitting in media row to Sean Hyken and everyone else. Like, you can tell watching Caleb Love that Damian Lillard influenced how he plays basketball. You can tell that in the way he dribbles, in the way he moves, his shooting motion, the way he can get into a step-back three, the way he attacks the rim. Everything he does is reminiscent of Dame. Now, I'm not saying he is Dame or that he's trying to be Dame, but you can tell that there's a lot about Dame that he liked growing up and emulated his game after him a little bit. And that's what great players do. They have that effect on the next generation, and the next generation finds those guys, they try to be like them. It's like when Kobe was definitely built in the MJ mold. You could tell he emulated him. You can tell that Edwards emulates both Kobe and MJ with the way he plays. And now you need to start getting the big guys who start to emulate Nikola Jokic, being passers and being multifaceted, not just a sit in the paint type guy. And I think every player has their guy that they want to be. And so, again, they start to emulate them. Obviously, LeBron has had that influence on people. And you can just go down the list. All the greats have had that. I thought this particular story was great for two reasons. It's great to see that, Caleb Love is getting a chance to play with a guy that he idolized, because I could only imagine what that would be like. When I grew up wanting to be a talking head. It's really funny because people always ask, what made you want to be a sports broadcaster? And it's like, I didn't want to be a pro athlete because I wasn't dumb. I wasn't going to hitch my wagon to something I knew was not going to happen as a 5'8", average athletic man, knowing that in a world of giants, I am not one. Whether it was basketball or football or any of that, it was good. Yeah, there's 5'8" guys in football, Chris. Yeah, and they run 4.240s. I think I ran like a 4.8 on my best day, and I wasn't a mountain of muscle. You get the picture. But I always wanted to be a broadcaster. And I looked up to guys like Stu Scott, one of my favorites of all time. I wanted to work at ESPN. I wanted to be like Stu Scott. And if you would have put me in a room doing a sports cast with Stuart Scott, I would have lost my mind. I would have just been in awe. I remember my grandpa asked me when I first got in the business, he's like, you get nervous when you're out there, if you're interviewing LaMarcus Aldridge and, LeBron James. And I said, no, I don't. I get more nervous when I look out and realize that the person standing next to me is holding the mic flag for ESPN, because that's what I want to be when I grow up. So I can only imagine what it's like growing up, wanting to play like Dame, idolizing Dame, and now he's your teammate. You're working with him every single day, and he's praising you for the work you're putting in as an undrafted rookie. It's got to be a great feeling, man. That has got to be a great feeling for Caleb Love. And what I like about it, too, is not only does he like it, understands that, and, respects all of it, it's reflected, too, in how he plays, because he's coming with that demeanor. Like, he's coming in, understanding it, and comfort in his role, which goes back to something we've talked about with Tiago Splitter that I really think has paid off in his time here taking over as acting head coach, is you can tell the young guys, he trusts them. And even if he doesn't trust them, he plays like he does. And that confidence turns into good basketball. And Caleb Love's playing with confidence. He started the year pretty bad. He would have those days where he was 0 of 8, 0 of 9. You're like, oh my gosh, what is this guy doing? But now he's consistently one of your best bench players. Of course, he still has those off days, but he's been really, really good. But the whole point of that story was he's been good, and it's just really cool to see that connection. Playing with a guy you idolized, playing with the guys who had influence on your game, and now you get to call him a teammate. And he'll still take you under his wing. He'll help you out, but it's like that's got to be a great feeling. Like even Chad, if he's out there listening, he's going to be like, oh, God, here we go. But it's like Chad, when I first started working here, not here, but like in the business, 2014, and you'd see him at Blazer games, like, oh my gosh, that's Chad Doing. I hear him on the radio all the time. I've listened to him forever. I was too afraid to go talk to Chad Doing. I was like, that he's gonna big time me. He's gonna big time me. That's cool though. He's like, I'm in line to get food with him, even though he was never getting food. That story doesn't hold any water. He doesn't eat media food, but you know what I'm saying. And now here we are working with him. It's pretty cool. So again, it's not the same level because I'm just the game day host. But, man, you got to feel for Caleb Love because that's got to be a great, great feeling. So shout out to Caleb. Shout out to Dame. I think it's cool to see the Dame's had that influence on the young guys. And then shout out to Jason. Another great article. Jason's one of the best in the biz. Make sure you're following him on social. Go find what he has to say. They're at The Athletic. Read the article for yourself. And speaking about great articles, another one from Marshawn Hyken talking about Robert Williams, who, talking about being a surreal moment that he gets to go play back in Boston. It's kind of cool. Portland gets this weird little scheduling thing here that, granted, schedules are weird. You never know how it's all going to play out. But they got two guys making their return to Boston tonight, and then they got Denny getting to play his former team tomorrow in Washington. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now, if the Blazers can win what? Hopefully they can beat Washington. If they can steal one of the New York or Boston games, come back home 2-1, that'd be great. That'd be great. Keep battling here. It was nice that even though they lost to Toronto, it was nice to say that they fell to 500. Not, the Blazers won a game and now they're at 500, which is what it's been like for like the last 4 years, hoping to get to 500. It's nice that they're playing good basketball. No Denny tonight. That is going to impact it. But hopefully, again, the guys we just praised, Caleb Love, Drew Holiday in his return, Robert Williams in his return. Hopefully, those can lead to a Trailblazers victory. What else will lead to a Trailblazers victory? We're going to scour the stats and we're going to tell you, because when we come back, it is time for our keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do to get a victory over the Boston Celtics? We will let you know when we return here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into Blazers Game Day. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Excuse me. Time now for our keys to the game. And before we get there, though, one of our texters, what a great time to send us back east during the crappy weather. Yeah, that just happens. I remember one time my boss was on a trip to like New York and they didn't know what was going to happen for the game. I think the next game was in Washington and the one after that was in Detroit. And the one in Washington that was in danger of being canceled because of weather. But he had a hotel booked in Washington just in case he could get there. He had a hotel booked in New York just in case he couldn't get out of New York because of the weather. And then he had a hotel booked in Detroit, which was the next stop on the trip. That way he could get there if he needed to fly out of New York to get there instead and just skip Washington. Sometimes traveling can be crazy. Another question we got too was, hi, Crispy Crunch Time. Chris, when is the trade deadline? Do you think they do anything? Trade deadline is February 5th. And I don't really see them doing a ton. I can see them trying to see if they move off of Matisse Thybulle. That one just makes sense. I think if they don't trade him, there's a high probability he gets bought out for the remainder of the year just because it's an expiring deal. He's probably not looking to re-sign with Portland. He's not going to command a lot on the market anyway, having not played a lot of games. So it benefits them to just cut bait because they're on that hook. Whether he's on the roster or not, they're on the hook for that money. But it would allow them to give either City Sissoko or Caleb Love a contract for the rest of the year, at least, since they're two-way guys. And I do think that there's going to be a push for probably someone like a Dwop Reith. Maybe it's a Chris Murray or a Rupert. I don't think it's them. I think Dwop is the candidate to see if there's a team that's willing to take him on for like a second-round pick, something that just nets the Blazers some sort of asset. They don't have to cut him, and they can open up that roster spot because we were sitting here praising Caleb Love, and Caleb Love is deserving of a contract at this point. All right, now keys to the game. What do the Blazers need to do tonight? Well, obviously, they just need to be ready for the attack that is the Boston Celtics. Boston comes in averaging 91.4 field goal attempts, which is number 3 in the entire league, so they will attack you. They also come in averaging 42.7 three-point attempts, which is number 2 in the league. Blazers come in at number 3 at 41.7. The big difference, though, is the Blazers shoot 33.8%. Boston shoots 36.9. It's a difference of almost 2 3-point makes per game. That puts Boston in 9th place in the league, and the Blazers are last in the league in percentage. That's how close that is. But Boston, good 3-point shooting team, gonna take a lot of shots. They're gonna find ways to attack you. The way you beat this Boston team is you got to have your defense locked in, and you got to be ready for what they can throw at you. Obviously, Peyton Pritchard's been incredible. Obviously, Anthony Simons is starting to find his flow. Those are the things you got to be ready for. Now, Portland knows what to do. All you got to do is got to go back to December 28th. Portland got a 114-108 victory over the Boston Celtics, and one of the things they did exceptionally well in that game was defend the three-point line, and then they shot the three-point ball well. Portland was 18 of 51 in that game, 35%, which, again, is a little bit over their average there. That's good. Meanwhile, Boston, who came in as number 2 in the league, numbers-wise, number 2 in attempts, 9th in percent. They shot 29% in that game. So the defense on the arc came in crucial. Blazers able to make some shots, which is also key. They also had 16 offensive rebounds in that game. It was a game where Portland did turn the ball over 20 times. So that's something you're going to have to watch here too, is Boston's going to be able to put pressure on you on the defensive side. Portland turning the ball over that many times and still coming out with a victory doesn't tend to happen that often. Don't give them free shots at the ball. Don't give them opportunities to get easy transition buckets. That will doom you. They'll find ways to get out there, and they're one of those teams that will turn transitions not into just a simple transition bucket, but they'll turn them into transition threes, which hurts you even more. So if you're the Blazers, you really got to be dialed in every facet to just really battle this Boston team. Very, very good team. Even without Jason Tatum, very good team. Jaylen Brown dropped 37 on Portland when they last played him. Anthony Simons had 13 points off the bench. It's always nice to see Ant, but yeah, that's what you got to worry about. 3-point line, and they're going to shoot in mass. Like, they are going to take a lot of shots. How you defend that is going to be crucial to your success moving forward. Also, since we're getting updates here on the day, Donovan Clingan is named to the rookie sophomore team for the 2026 Rising Stars Challenge. There you go. NBA was announcing that here at 3:30. So there's some late news for you. Donovan Clingan named to the rookie sophomore team for the 2028 Rising Stars Challenge. That's just pretty nice. Shout out to DC, who went from, the guy last year who we just picked on his cardio to now being a legit NBA starting center who's only getting better. Only getting better. That's wonderful if you're a Trailblazers fan. Also, before we go, speaking of the weather and the football, right? Let's talk about that real quick. We got about a minute left. I don't want to hear this whole like, oh my gosh, football should be played in domes because games shouldn't be decided in bad weather. Meh, 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 meh. It's football, man. Play the chess game. I don't care if it's raining sideways, snowing. Oh, it shouldn't impact the game. Hey, guess what? They both played on the same field. Make your adjustments. Who's going to win the chess match? Sorry that it wasn't the Denver Broncos. Chad. All right, we got to get out of here, but coming up next, Chad Doing has a Trailblazers pregame show across the Trailblazers audio network. Then he'll pass the mic off to Travis Demers, who's in Boston, waiting for tip-off at 5 o'clock against the Celtics. And when it's all said and done, keep it tuned in right here for the fifth quarter, where hopefully we're breaking down a Trailblazers victory. Rip City, I'll talk to you after the game.